Welcome, welcome, welcome to Healing Paradigms Presents Meet the Family Healing Circle Reunion, and also with our new members. My name is Reverend Arlene Kahet, and I am your host for this evening. Now, before we get started, just so you all know, the show is just featuring all of the people who are a part of the Family Healing Circle. It's a reunion, and we have just finished we had our first anniversary a little earlier this month, and now we have been here for a full year. And I wanted to take the opportunity to introduce our members who have been with us for a while, family members who have been with us for a while, and also our newer family members. Now, but before we get started, we're going to get prayed in, and we are going to start out with the Anabacoa prayer, which is a prayer that it is a Kabbalistic prayer that contains the 42 names of the Most High. And I want to give a special shout-out to Thomas Shallar Walker, because he is the one who is actually the person who's singing on it. So here we go. And we're back. Now, I am going to we have a few of our family members on, and we're going to actually have some of the family members introduce themselves a little bit later because they're on their way actually in. But I am going to actually, I think I'm going to go ahead and start with Stacey Ferguson, who, you know, she was not able to actually make it in tonight, but she did send in a representative for her by the name of Laura. Laura, are you on the line?
Yes, I'm here.
Yes, you're okay. Well, okay. So just for those of you who haven't been up to date, we have, I think, Stacey's show actually comes on at Sunday. Now, what is the name of the show that she has on Sunday, Laura?
Yes. Hear me? I'm sorry. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you. Yes, I can hear you.
Yes. I'm Laura. I'm here representing Stacey Ferguson for Make Me Feel It Radio. It's like you said, it airs every Sunday from 7 to 9 p.m.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And this is a new venture. Go
ahead. You were saying?
I was saying that this is just a new venture in Stacey's life, and I'm so excited to be sharing her journey with her listeners tonight.
Okay. Now, what are some of the issues that Stacey actually deals with on her show? You know, from what I can tell, there's like a large amount of areas that she actually covers. But what are some of the issues, or what are some of the interests that she has actually brought to the Family Healing Circle?
Stacey, from all the things I've gathered from listening to her since day one, Stacey talks about politics, religion, the importance of community participation, professional development, financial development, drugs, sex, love, and relationships. It's a wide range of different topics. She wants to connect with children, young teens, young adults, the mature crowd, everyone. So she's touching on everyday topics of your life. Age range is unlimited. So it's about everyday life, everything that you can think about, anything that you feel is on your heart. That's what she wants to talk about. That's what she does talk about.
Okay. Now, do you know what was it that prompted her, or what was it that inspired her to want to actually, and engage and bring these particular subjects to the forefront for people to know about?
Well, Stacey's gift is to inspire, encourage, and to motivate people. She wanted to enlighten your everyday mindset and teach people how to live a more fulfilled life. She's out here trying to create a movement. She wants to better people. She wants to uplift you and motivate you towards your dreams, your goals, and think whatever you want to do in your life. So she felt like this would be the opportune time to share her talents with the world, to allow people to just be who they want to be.
Okay. All right. Now, do you know of some of the other things or the other subject matters that she is likely to do, like especially like on the upcoming show? Is there anything that that she wants to promote for this coming Sunday?
Well, Make Me Feel It Radio is a different type of radio. It's not your particular mom and pop radio. It's supposed to be a very diverse radio. So she wants to communicate with the young population. So I think this upcoming show will be something more directed to the younger crowd, the teens. Find out how they're feeling about the things that are going on in their communities, what's going on in their schools, just various things. So this Sunday, I think, will be about our youth.
Okay. All right. Well, thank you. Thank you so much. Now, the next person that I would like to bring on is Stacey Lamore, and she has a show by the name of the RN Perspective. Now, Stacey, are you on the line? Maybe not. Okay.
Hello, can you hear me?
We're going to go ahead.
Arlene, hold on. I'm sorry to interrupt you. She is on the line.
Okay.
I am on.
All right.
Sorry about that. Yeah, I am on. I'm on the way to the airport, so I'm trying to battle traffic and all the outside noise, so I apologize for that. But I am on. I'm happy to be on.
Okay. So Stacey, would you tell us a little bit about your show and what was it that inspired you to be a part of the Family Healing Circle?
Sure. Well, the RN's Perspective is a show that discusses mostly nutrition and natural healing. So I'm a nurse, and I've had a lot of experience in different segments of the nursing world, like the emergency room, the OR, urgent care, different medical wings in hospitals, and most recently in the Medicaid sector for United Healthcare. And so I've had a lot of exposure to a lot of the sickest in the community, the most sickest in the community. And what I found is that a lot of people are sick not just because they're not taking care of themselves, but often it's our food. Our food is not as nutritious as it used to be, and we're not making the best decisions, nor are we exercising enough or taking into consideration the better options that are out there. So that's what the show is all about. And, I really have a passion to help educate and teach people. So that's the whole focus and the foundation of my show.
Okay. And I believe, and what night does your show come on, just for the rest of the family and those who would be listening?
Sure. Wednesday nights from 7 to 9 p.m. I'm on.
Okay.
So just yesterday we discussed diabetes.
Okay. Now, one of the questions that I have for you is what. From what you're telling me, your show takes a little bit of a holistic spin on healthcare. Am I or a person actually taking care of their health? Is that correct?
That is correct. Yes.
Yeah.
That is correct.
Now, is there anything that Is there anything that that you could consider where a person would make that initial change from eating whatever it is that they started with, especially if they have concerns about budgetary concerns? Where would you recommend that they actually start at with getting on that track of going down a more natural route for actually aiding in their health, aiding in improving their health?
Well, I would say that the first and most important step is to incorporate water, one of the most affordable resources we have out there. A lot of people don't understand the importance of water, and that's one of the most important and major steps a person can take in getting their health to a better state. just encouraging more water intake, less soda, less juice. You know, there's a lot of toxic pollutants in the juice and the sodas and everything we drink, even sometimes the coffee and the tea. So taking water, that's probably one of the first steps I would encourage. Increasing your water intake from, you know, whatever it may be. Some take 1 glass a day, some take half of a cup a day. Increase it to about 8 to 10 glasses a day, and it will make a humongous difference in your state of being. The clarity you'll get, the energy you'll start to feel, the flushing out of the toxins. That's one of the first things I always say. Just start there, especially if it's about budget. But the second thing I would say is increase your leafy greens. You know, they're not as expensive as many people would say, and they're really going to be the gateway to starting your health, you know, in a more positive direction when it comes to diabetes, high blood pressure, high cholesterol, all of those chronic illnesses. Just increasing your plants, increasing your vegetables. Some of the most affordable items in the grocery store can be your vegetables. So that would be a second step.
Okay. Now, this is just an observation on my part, especially when it comes from the perspective of a person actually changing their diet. And as soon as you say green leafy vegetables to them, they're thinking to themselves, "Oh my God, that doesn't sound like it tastes good." So
I know.
I guess the question. Yeah. So I guess the question that I would have for you is, for that person who says, "Okay, what would you recommend that I do in order to make that tasty?" Because I'm all about the taste. You know, I'll eat your green, but if you can make it taste great, I am more than willing to eat your green leafy vegetables like you're recommending.
Yeah. You know what? I think one thing that many people make the biggest mistake is adding salt. Lots of people add salt and all kinds of seasonings to their food, and that right there, is probably the worst thing you can do. But what you can do to flavor your food is to use herbs. Use herbs in those, low starch vegetables. Like you have the cayenne, you have garlic, you have cumin, turmeric, ginger. All of those options are available. And I tell you, if you use more herbs, use more herbs in your food, it will amaze you how delicious this food can be. But it's just a matter of taking that first step. So I would say that would be one thing. Play around with some seasoning. Play around with some of those herbs that are out there, because most people don't have experience with them because they're used to the MSG and the salt, and the butter, slopping their food down with butter. So they don't have the understanding that these herbs are out there to flavor their foods. And not only that, but they're healthy. They're really healthy.
Now, and just so you know, that much of your subject matter is something that is close to my heart. And for those of you who are out there who are listening and saying, well, those herbs cost about $5, $5 for a container. You can go. You actually can go to the dollar store and actually purchase those. So just heads up to anybody who's listening right now.
That is absolutely correct.
Okay.
Yes.
Yes. Now, what was it? I know that because of your experience and what you've been through in terms of healthcare, that was what inspired you to want to teach people about how to improve it. But would you be willing to share how it is that you came about being a part of the Family Healing Circle and spreading your message through for your show, The RN Perspective, with the people who would be listeners? Mm-hmm.
Absolutely. So it was a cool. Well, I won't say coincidence, but I was at a Lisa Nichols event, and she had a lot of entrepreneurs there that were looking to kind of raise the bar in their business. And I met Angela there, and we talked about Blog Talk Radio, and I was so excited because I've been looking for this opportunity to share with the community and to share with anyone who's willing to listen how you can really improve your health by just going to your pantry or just making better options in the grocery store. Not to mention supplementation. It is so key. But we were talking, she mentioned that not only her, but her Stacey Ferguson just got on the show. I said, you've got to tell me what I need to do to get on this show. So she connected me with Harvey. And when Harvey and I talked, it was just like, okay, it's a done deal. Let's do it. He said, I've been looking for you. And I said, well, Harvey, I've been looking for you. So it was really a great connection. And from there, you know, we've just been able to make it work. So that's how I was able to get on this platform. But I've been looking for this opportunity, and it came at the right time.
Okay. Now, I know that you said that this past Wednesday that you talked about, I believe it was it diabetes?
Diabetes, that's right.
Yeah, diabetes. Yes. Okay. Now, with your next show, what do you plan on talking about for those listeners who would be listening like tonight or in the upcoming days up until the show comes on again this coming Wednesday?
Oh, yeah. So the next show is going to be about preservatives. A lot of the food that we eat, that our children eat, that even our babies are ingesting have tons of preservatives and food coloring in them, and a lot of people don't know the damaging effects they have on their bodies and brains. And so we're going to discuss how we can avoid taking in those foods and using better options, you know, just being educated when they go to the grocery store on what to pick and what not to pick, and understanding what these preservatives are actually doing. I mean, they're really killing our people, so it's time for us to be aware, to be educated.
Okay. All right. Well, Stacey, thank you so much, and I hope that you have a wonderful flight. If we don't come back to you by the time, you're quite welcome. Okay. Now.
Thank you.
All righty. Thank you. Now, the next person that we have on the line is Reverend Dr. Rosemary Cook. How are you
Arlene?
This evening?
Arlene,
Yes?
I'm sorry to interrupt you, but we have a request. Can Angie come on next, please?
Oh, certainly. Angie, you're on the line?
Yes, I am. Thank you so much. I'm also en route from the airport, and my phone battery is low. So if you don't mind, I would love to chime in now so I can be sure to have a great discussion with you guys.
Absolutely. For those of you who don't know, or people who probably do know, Angie has her show Total Empowerment. Now, Angie, what was it that inspired you? Well, how is it that you came about the name of your show, and what inspired you to actually join the Family Healing Circle?
Well, okay, I'll take the second question first. Can you guys hear me okay?
Yes.
Okay, great. I'm on the earpiece. What led me to join the Family Healing Circle was, again, I know his name's been mentioned a few times, but Harvey came to me with this idea about, you know, starting this radio show, which sounded like a great idea, being that I was already kind of involved in radio, but it's not my own. So I serve as a co-host on another show. And Harvey and I had shared some discussion about my interest in radio and his as well. So when the opportunity presented itself, it was a no-brainer to go ahead and move forward with it. And now why I call my show Total Empowerment is because one thing I've learned about myself, it always comes back to empowering people. I don't care if it's when I'm behind the chair doing someone's hair. I don't care if it's when I'm having a heart-to-heart conversation with my girlfriends, or, you know, if I'm at a sports arena or a game or anything. Somehow I always come back to wanting to empower and uplift the person. And, you know, I know that's the gift that I have. I know it's something that I've always been, you know how they say somebody's always been an underdog. That's always been me. Like when I was younger, you know, just in competition, I always wanted to root and cheer someone along. So I know it's something I enjoy doing, and I know how I do it is just through various vessels. So owning Simple Wellness Hair and Day Spa, having the radio show, being a hair loss specialist, it all comes back to enhancing beauty, both inside and out.
Okay. Now, what are some of the subjects that you've actually talked about on your show? And so far, you know, since you're one of the, just so you know, ladies and gentlemen, Angie's one of the founding partners of the Family Healing Circle. So the question that I have for you is, like, what are some of the subject matters that you have actually brought to your show, and what are some of the subject matters that you think that you're going to take on in the future?
Okay, thank you for that question. Well, I have to say, being that it's been a whole year since Total Empowerment's been on the radio show, not just Family Healing Circle, but we're all celebrating together. I've done, of course, 12 shows, but some of the top ones in particular that stands out is Can We Have It All? You know, a lot of times I take shows that I'm wondering deep down inside my thoughts, and I kind of throw it out there. Again, having a day spa allows me to just throw it out there to clients, people that's in there getting their nails done, or massages, or getting their hair done. Hey, what do you guys think about that? So one of the topics that we did was prenuptial agreements. I threw it out in the spa. What do you guys think about prenuptial agreements? And it started such a debate, it had to make it to Total Empowerment Talk Radio. So having it all, marriage, is it a lost art? Prenuptial agreements, beauty, what is beauty? You know, so a lot of times I will get topics of my interest and then get other people's opinion and chime on. And I like to play the devil's advocate. So you don't really know what side of the fence I'm coming from until I tell you this is my thought. Because a lot of times I'll kind of go with against the majority just to kind of drum it up. And then I'll tell you, well, you know what? This is how I feel. So I have a lot of fun on my show. I encourage a lot of co-hosts and special guests and call-ins because it's conversations. It's about empowering, uplifting, but it's not just for me to grow. It's for everyone to grow.
Okay, beautiful. Now, are you willing to share with us what you're going to be talking about? Please, I believe that this coming Thursday, the first Thursday, just so you know, everyone, Angie's show comes on the first Thursday of the month, starting at 7 o'clock. So, what are you going to be talking about this coming Thursday?
This coming Thursday is a combination of things, but I will say we have a special guest. Capri Smith is an amazing woman who has done so much. She was a retired Baltimore City police detective. She's been on shows like Wendy Williams. She's been named the top 100 minority business in the Mid-Atlantic region. So her resume and her bio speaks volumes. But the reason why I invited her on the show, the reason why we're going to co-host or host the show together this coming Thursday is because her mission is the same as mine. Her mission is speaking to women and uplifting women. Though my show is not just for women, this particular show is specializing in the uplifting empowerment of women, black women in particular, as well as black business women. So the entire segment, the name of the show, all that stuff will be revealed a little later, but I can say we got a dynamic, well-renowned person joining me, Capri.
Okay. All right. Well, yeah. Now, is there anything else that you would like to share? Because I know you said that you kind of let Reverend Harvey know that your battery is running low, but is there anything that you would like to share before I move on to the next person?
Well, I mean, if you and Harvey don't have any more questions for me, I guess my closing statement would just be to tell everyone to tune in the first Thursday of every month to Total Empowerment Talk Radio. You never know which direction we're going to take it. We have real conversation, uplifting conversation, and, we pretty much encourage everyone to give us a call when we're doing the show because we like to just have that communication going. And it's an awesome show. Total Empowerment Talk Radio, the name speaks for itself. I am Angela Hardy, owner and operator of Simple Wellness Hair and Day Spa. But most importantly, I am one that enhances beauty inside and out.
Okay. All right. Thank you so much, Angie.
Thank you. Have a great evening.
You too. Okay. Reverend Cook, are you still there?
Yes, I'm here. Can you hear me?
Yes. Okay. All right. Yes. Now, for those of you who may not be aware, Reverend Cook has been one of the members who's been with us perhaps like the longest. Is that right, Reverend Harvey? Was you with us longer? I think
that is correct. That is correct. She is. When we went to the new format, she was the first show that we had on the current format.
Okay. So, would you be willing to share with for those of you who don't know, Reverend Cook's show is called Totally Whole. Reverend Cook, would you be willing to share with us what was it that inspired you to bring Totally Whole to the Family Healing Circle? And we'll start off with that question before I move on. Mm-hmm.
Sure. I'm an ordained elder in the AME Church, and I've always believed that we really can't address our mental health without incorporating spirituality and faith. And I've always practiced mental health with an eye towards looking at spirituality. So in my practice as a minister, I've always had persons in the congregation who would come to me for some advice on mental health related issues. And with my knowledge of faith, I could not resist incorporating faith perspective as it relates to our total mental health. So I was really excited about the opportunity to have this radio show, and I've always, saw myself just providing education on how to integrate mental health with spirituality. And as many of you may or may not know, that traditional psychotherapy did not include faith. It was a total separate area that a lot of psychologists or therapists didn't want to touch. But when we look at faith and religion, it's an aspect of culture, an aspect of diversity. So it's important to assess that part of the individual's culture that provides a sense of meaning and provides direction and guidance in life. So that was my motivation, and that's how I came to be a part of the show, and including mental health along with topics related to faith.
Okay. Now, with your profession, do you find that, especially since you've already said that that traditionally that mental health never really integrated the spiritual component, have you noticed yourself, that the person's faith or their spiritual self actually aids in their recovery from overcoming whatever mental issues that they may actually have?
Absolutely, because faith for many people has been a means of coping with issues that we face in life, such as divorce or death or just any issue that would bring about a sense of suffering. So I have found that persons who have a faith perspective are able to cope a lot better with life's challenges and able to rebound from some of those challenges a lot faster than someone who might not have a faith perspective. So definitely I have seen the effectiveness of incorporating faith into the interventions that we would recommend for clients.
Okay. Now, what do you feel has been your I guess, what has been your favorite show so far from all of the shows that you've done on the Family Healing Circle with Totally Whole?
Oh, that's a challenging question. Let's see. Let me think. I think a lot of people responded well to the show on self-love and self-care. I kind of talked about, is self-love selfish? And I raised that question because a lot of times those of us who are believers and who attend church or are poor helpers, we find that when we attend to ourselves, that some people view it as selfishness. So in faith traditions, we're taught to be selfless, to be of service to others, and all too often we take it to the extreme, and we tend to neglect ourselves and feel guilty when we put ourselves first. So that particular show was very popular, and I did part 1 and part 2, and I got a lot of feedback from the listeners and colleagues who were on the show at that time. So so that was one of my favorite ones, and one that was more popular, because that's something that I had to practice myself as a minister, as a mental health professional, and just as a person who likes to serve. It's hard sometimes to take time for self-care. And then when you find that there are other people who request your help and your services, you can tend to problems deciding what's priority. So that was definitely, one of the more helpful shows for me as well as my listeners.
Okay. Now, I know that for those of you who probably have been listening to Pastor Cook, she had a co-host by the name of Bridget Goins, Pastor Bridget Goins, that used to work with her, but she, Pastor Bridget has decided to leave the show because she needed to spend more time to do things on her own. But she does have a new co-host. And would you feel free to let the family know, who your new co-host is, and what do you feel that she's going to be bringing to the Family Healing Circle, or to Totally Whole?
Sure. Her name is Teiera Shepard. She's not ordained clergy, but certainly in ministry. She is a social worker, and she does lots of community work. She works a lot with youth, so she would bring a more youthful perspective to the show, and also, incorporating spirituality within the framework which she'll be providing. But she's a very energetic young lady, also an entrepreneur, and is in the process of looking at transitional housing for young women. So I'm excited to have her to be my co-host, because she would definitely bring a different perspective to the show, with the emphasis on youth issues.
Okay. Now, do you know, I know that coming up, just for those of you who don't know or who haven't listened to Totally Whole, Rev. Pastor Cook and Teiera will be alternating on the days that they will be on. Do you know what show? What her show is going to be about this coming? I believe it's this Monday.
No, I have not spoken with her about the topic for her show.
Okay.
So I'm not quite sure yet.
Okay. Now, on the alternating Monday, what will your show be about?
Yeah, next Monday I will be talking about anger management. Part 1 of that particular show aired on Monday night, looking at anger. How do we express anger? Is anger one of the emotions that can be helpful or harmful? So we're going to finish up that conversation and helping us to assess our own issues of anger. And I thought this topic was timely in light of what's happening, in our society, as people are unable to manage anger, and we see a lot of violence locally and internationally, and also in the political forum with our, politicians just demonstrating all types of inappropriate language and angry expressions in the media. So it's a timely topic for us to really consider how we manage and express our own anger.
Okay. Now, before I move on to the next person, is there anything that you would like to, share with the audience before I move on? I think I'm going to go into commercial. But is there anything that you would like to share with the audience?
Well, I just wanted to let the audience know that, our mental health is very important. And when we talk about mental health, sometimes people think of mental illness, but mental health is not just focusing on mental illness, but it talks about communication and self-esteem and how we interact interpersonally. And so, the show is very broad as we talk about issues that impact our relationships with ourselves, with others, and also our relationship with God. Because, totally whole indicates that God doesn't just want us healed, but whole, which is not to be fragmented, but to have nothing missing and nothing broken, so that we can have happy and healthy relationships and fulfilling lives.
Okay. Well, Reverend Cook, thank you so much for being on tonight and sharing your information about your show. And I'm sure that the listeners and myself are going to be looking forward to all of the upcoming episodes that both you and Teiera Shepard are going to be putting on. So thank you so much for coming on tonight.
Thank you for the opportunity.
Oh, you're quite welcome. And we are going to go ahead and go into commercial. And we're back. And our next, the person who is going to be talking about their show next is Voni Walters, who is a part of Let's Talk Love, Sex, and Nutrition. Voni, are you on the line?
Yes, I am. Hello.
Hello. Okay. Well, for those of you who don't know, ladies and gentlemen, this is Voni Walters, and she co-hosts the show Let's Talk Love, Sex, and Nutrition with Zelana, who's the sex enthusiast. I think she's been encouraged to come up with another name for another title for herself. But Voni, why don't you tell us a little bit about your show and what was it that inspired you to join the Family Healing Circle?
Well, I first want to say that, Arlene, it is an honor, definitely an honor and a pleasure being on the anniversary show tonight, being a part of the Healing Family Circle family. I mean, this is just an amazing, amazing journey. And, you know what? To be honest with you, I did not, if you would have told me I would have been hosting a radio show a year ago, I would be like, you were out of your mind. I'm naturally shy, and so, this was an opportunity for me to get outside of my box. I have a history. My history is I'm a certified holistic health coach, and I have a private practice, and I would do detox programs, and these programs allowed me to, to be exposed to an array of different type of people, men, women, different ages, early 20s, mid-20s to 60s. And when I would have these consultations with these women and men, but mostly the women, the conversation kept going back to reproductive health, because my consultations, we get deep. Well, it's not just superficial. I the questions that I ask are geared towards really, getting in there and getting information to where I can customize something specific for them. So with that being said, the conversation, was about reproductive health. And with my experience of being violated as a child and somewhat miseducated on sex coming up, and it wasn't because, my mother didn't talk to me about it, but she taught me what she knew, and I'm a mother of a daughter, and, I didn't want to repeat the same cycle with not being informed about certain things. So it was a combination of having conversations with other women, a conversation of what was going on with me personally, and then also, with my family as well, having a history, the women in my family having, a history of reproductive issues. So with that being said, I was like, well, what can I do to serve and, and be more effective in my practice? And so I wanted to get more specific in sexual and reproductive health. So I came up with, you know what, all right, I'm going to start, because I like doing workshops. I do workshops and on nutrition and cooking demos, but I was like, wouldn't it be cool to do an adult sex ed class? Like, this is not your, average sex ed class. So we would, have real, intimate conversations. And again, with these conversations, it was a space that was created where, women and men in this space felt free to, to explore and to talk about, different things that you normally don't really talk about. And Miss Zelana was one of the participants in my class, and I had met Z a few years ago. We both attended. We're both part of the Landmark Forum family, and we hit it off. And she came to my class, and you know what? And this is how it happened. She was like, you know what? I think that we should do a radio show. She said it came to her in her dream after coming to the classes for, a couple weeks, and she said it came to her in a dream. Now, what she didn't know was a couple days prior to that, one of my best friends told me, she's like, have you ever thought about doing a blog talk show? And I was like, girl, please. I got so much stuff going on right now. I definitely don't have time. And then a few days later, V calls me up. Well, she texted me at like 1 o'clock at night, and then we talked to each other in the morning, and she told me how it came to her, and I was like, you know what, sis, yeah, this is definitely something that's happening in divine order, and she, presented the opportunity of having a blog talk, a radio talk show, and I was like, okay, and again, I mentioned, I can get a little shy, but, when you have a passion of, talking about things and a message that's powerful and a message that could, just potentially change a life, in some extent, it's just like I can't be stuck in this, so we came up with Love, Sex, Let's Talk Love, Sex, and Nutrition, and it was a brand that I already had been developing as a blog, and and there we have it. Let's talk love, sex, and nutrition. And here we are, with the family. So that's the extended version.
Okay, well, with you, you're also next to Reverend Cook. You're also one of our veteran shows. So the question that I have for you, and I posed it to her already, is so far, what has been your favorite show?
Oh man, seriously, I'm talking about sex every week. So every show is my favorite. Okay, but let me see. All right. Wow. I don't know. That really is a difficult one. I enjoy the show. Every third Friday we have a guest, Mrs. Janine Ingram, come in, and she brought in a gentleman that Messiah, and he talked about the penis monologues. And that was a very interesting show because we, Z and I, we always enjoy when we have the male energy and the male perspective. And with the monologues, we've had different male guests on the show. And, again, we always love, and Harvey, especially we love when Harvey comes on the show. And we love, when our men are in the house. And when Messiah was on the show, he, the monologue, because, everyone's familiar with the vagina monologue, and he gave a male perspective of what the penis monologues were. So that was a very, interesting and, good show. And then I liked when we had our man panel, too. Like, that was a fun show, too. So we got it, because this is a raw show. And in the beginning of the show, we always make our disclaimer because it is an adult show and it is rated R. So we just like to let our adults know that. And so with that being said, when our men got on there, we was asking them, some good questions. And so we didn't waste no time with, with getting in, deep and, and getting their perspective on things. So, but yeah, that was a good show. And then we had a show with Grace Empowerment, and she was talking about yoni breathing and the power of orgasm. So, girl, you asked for it's like going to a candy store. Oh man.
Okay. So, obviously from. Go ahead.
Oh, no, I was just saying, and I just love it. I love, being able to have these fun conversations with adults.
Okay. Now, what I suppose in the course of doing your show, has there been anything that you learned that you have, actually incorporated into your own experience? Yeah, that's the question. Is that through all of the things that you've put out on the show and the things that you may have learned, is there anything that you did not know before that you actually incorporate?
Yeah. We had a show with I think it was Goddess Charmaine, and she was talking about a spiritual bath or a cleansing bath, and with love, sex, and nutrition. This is a holistic show, so we're not just talking about the spiritual aspects of sexual energy, but just really getting into the whole concept of us being energetic beings and how we, what we can attract and deflect and, and things like that. And so she had mentioned in there a ritual that you can do to cleanse off energy from past people. And that was very interesting because what she said was, you get in the bath and you put a whole thing of baking soda in the bath. I mean, it's just something, it's baking soda, but that what happens is that helps with that. So that is something that I've tried and I've actually incorporated in my practice with my clients that are dealing with past trauma through relationships or things that had happened with them. So that's one of the things. And we had another sister on the show talking about she is the owner of or the founder of Hiller's Sister, Shauna Murray Brown, and she shared something about how transgenerational trauma, and how it goes back like 7 generations, and how, how that trauma, I mean, I had an idea of it, but this sister really got, more in depth into how that can affect us and does affect us here, in the present. So that, and then I want to comment on the show last week when you were on the show. Yes, because I'm getting into a new relationship, and And then with that being said, I was just really engaged and intrigued to listen to what you and your king had to say, and just taking, all of that in. So I definitely will and am implementing some of the things that you two spoke about into my life as well.
Okay. Now, is there anything that you would like to share with the audience about anything that you guys have coming up? This actually go tomorrow.
Yeah.
It's Friday. Yeah, it's Friday. Friday's tomorrow.
I know, right? So,
right.
So for tomorrow, yeah. So Z is out of town, and she'll be coming to town. So tomorrow we're going to take it nice and easy, and because what we like to do is me and Z are both really, we love music, and we love the way it makes us feel and how it brings us together. So tomorrow is going to be an easy, laid-back show where we're going to open up the conversation to our family, and then we're going to be playing some, some nice music in between that feel good bedroom bump and grind. This show is PG, so I'm not. I'm not gonna get on
that. Okay. All right. Well, do you want to go ahead and let the family know, like, the time that your show is going to be coming on tomorrow?
Yes. So we are here every Friday on Let's Talk Love, Sex, and Nutrition, and I am Voni, the sexual wellness coach, and we have our lovely co-host Zilana, and she is our love enthusiast, and also when I talk about her, I know she's writing something, so she's an up and coming author as well. She will be coming out with something, so I wanted to plug that in there for her. But we're here every Friday at 7:30, and we welcome the family. Our show ranges from an hour to 2 hours, and it varies on which guests that we have, and then just how juicy the conversation gets as well. So, and then we can also be reached on, or you can contact us on social media, on Facebook. We're on Love, Sex, and Nutrition. So it's not a Let's Talk Love, Sex, and Nutrition, but it's Love, Sex, and Nutrition. And let's see what else. Oh, and then if anyone would like to get in contact with me personally, again, I am a sexual wellness coach, and I have, programs that help with that, with sexual reproductive health, with diet plans, and just methods and strategies to restore balance and harmony and really get in touch to the power of our sexual energy. And if you ever, want to get in contact with me, you can contact me at lovesexandnutrition@gmail.com.
Okay. Well, thank you so much, Voni. And
Thank you for having me.
Yeah, we so appreciate having you as a part of the family. And and I guess we are going to be moving on to our next guest, who's been silently waiting in the background because he's willing to be last. But I, in addition to having the joint show with me, what is it? One Love, One Connection, One Us. We have on Reverend Harvey L. Bailey, who does the Inner Consciousness. Reverend Harvey, how you doing tonight?
Oh, I'm whole, perfect, and complete. That's how I roll all the time. How are you, Arlene? And, I feel like I've been on the show the whole time because I had to keep interrupting. I want to apologize for that. But, my methods of reaching you just wasn't working. Smoke signals, old Indian thing. What can I say?
Okay. Well, for those of you who don't know, or actually, this is the first time that we have actually had the opportunity to share how it is that the Family Healing Circle came into being. So, you want to share that with the family, also, and tell us a little bit about your own show, The Inner Consciousness.
Okay. Well, once upon a time, long, long, long time ago, in a land far, far away, where there were androids and Sith lords, there was a young Padawan who wanted to learn how to talk to people. And okay, so seriously, no, Zelana, as Voni mentioned, her partner. Zelana gave me my start in radio, and that was, about 2 years ago. Mm-hmm. We had a wonderful conversation. I had asked a friend of mine about being on her show, and so she told me that she was on a new show on internet radio, and so she had me on her show. And then she introduced me to Zakia, who, owned the station at that time. And so Zakia and I had a long talk. And at the end of the conversation, she said, I don't know if you're even interested, but how would you like to have your own show? And I was like, wow, I would love to have my own show. And so that was how it got started, and that was like September 2014. And of course, a couple months later, another slot opened up, and so she asked me about doing 2 shows on the station. And so that's when you came in, you and I ended up doing that second show together. The first show, which is still around, The Inner Consciousness. And on that second show, it became One Love, One Connection, One Us, you and I, because, we were doing workshops at that time as relationship coaches. You and I were doing the workshops, and so we just took the next logical step. The radio opportunity was there, and so we went to radio. Then after some months there and, some changes, we decided to go on out. It just felt like the time was right to do something different, with creating our own station. It gave me a chance to be able to give back or to reach out to people. It just seemed like there was a lot of people who wanted an opportunity to voice themselves. And so I wanted to give people that opportunity, but I wanted to do it in a different way. I wanted to make it about them. Let's take all the shackles off. No holds barred. You bring the authentic you to the family healing circle. We don't want a watered-down version of you. We don't want to control anything that you do. We want you, uncut, raw, you, 200% Peruvian. We want the best powder you can bring. Okay, so, and that's where it started. Up late a couple nights doing some research, and you might remember how excited I was. I'm like, man, this thing is great. Next thing you know, we had our own show. We had our own station, and so it was you and I, and we discussed bringing in some other partners, at least 2 more people. And so, I had some ideas, and I reached out to a number of people, but divine guidance was always working, and you with your intuitive abilities kind of told me, well, I think these are going to be the 2 people who are going to come on board. And though I had out about at least 8 different offers, everyone had an excuse why they couldn't do it except for those 2. And so, just as you said, the 2 who you suspected would be, the one just went over like, boom, yeah, I'm interested, I'm down. No sales was needed. It was like I was just talking about something like this, and so it's amazing that it fell into my lap just like that, because, I literally was just talking about it and like, hey, here it is. And then with the other one, it was just it was a part of the dance that we do. Because ultimately, you said that, that person would be involved, and I knew that person was going to be involved, but still, there's the obligatory dance, you know what I mean? You can't just walk in, pick up your drink, and leave. Sometimes you got to earn it. And so, I put in the energy to get it, and the Family Healing Circle was born with you and me, Angela Hardy, and Jamel Gilliam. And then, and March 14th was our first show. Angela, she was first out the gate for the Family Healing Circle. She was our initial show. And then, of course, I kept telling you guys, hey, we need to go bigger. We need to go bigger. We've got all of this opportunity. It would just be crazy for us not to take advantage of it. And I convinced y'all to listen to me. And in April, what did we do? We went bigger.
We went bigger.
We went bigger, and Jamel, introduced me to Pastor Rosemary Cook, and her show was the first one in under the new format. And shortly after that, we got, who did we get after that? Who was that second show that came in for us?
I believe,
No, I think that came a little later. I think we already had about 2 shows when Updraft came.
Okay. There was your sister who was doing the show.
She came in around that same time. Right. Dave's show might have been second. We might have had Monday and Tuesday filled and then Thursday with us. But yeah, it just grew from there. Of course, there's shows that we're mentioning that's no longer with us. So we've lost 3 shows. But that's okay. We are filling up, and, as it is right now, we've got Totally Whole on Monday nights with Pastor Cook and, alternating. Teiera Shepard is going to be on the alternate Monday night, so that slot is still running strong. On Tuesday nights, unfortunately, Chasity Wells' Money Matters with Chasity was unable to be with us this evening, but on Tuesday night, we have our financial show with Chasity Wells, and I got to tell you, February, if you guys haven't heard February, everybody listening to this need to go back because all of our shows are archived all the way back to the early days. There's shows that we have, I had on like the plaid shirt, the bell-bottom pants, and the hat, and Arlene, she was dressed in all these bright colors and everything, and, I had an afro and a pick in it, and, it was, you know what I'm saying? So dust some of those old shows off and check them out. But her February shows were all about debt. That whole month was attributed to debt. So all 4 of her shows is about how to get out of debt, how to manage debt, and how to beat the debt trap. So you definitely want to go back and you want to hear about that because, come on, this is America. All of us are in some kind of debt to some degree. And even if you're not swimming deep in debt, I guarantee you know somebody who is. Hear the show, and you can help somebody else out. Because really, that's all the Family Healing Circle is about, helping people. Because we are family. We are all family. From here to Timbuktu, we are all family. And that's the whole essence of the Family Healing Circle, reaching out to everyone. We try to have something in there for everyone. On Wednesday nights, we've got that slot filled now, and that's wonderful that we've got Stacy in there. And, hey, you heard it. She's a registered nurse, and she's talking about holistic healing. And she's right. I had been looking for her since we started. And I had offered that slot to several people, but they weren't the person who it belonged to. That slot was saying, nope, not you. Nope, not you. No, not you. That slot had been waiting for her. It was just a matter of time. But, no one could fill that slot. And it was just like, am I ever going to get the right person? And one day I get a call. And Angie say, I want you to talk to this woman I met. Her name's Stacy. I'm going to send you her information. And it was just like, wow, there it is. And that's why I couldn't get that spot filled, because it was Stacy's. I've been looking for her for a whole year. And so now we are very, very happy with every one of our shows, but it is really, a blessing to have Stacy in that spot on Wednesday nights, helping people maintain their health in a world that seems bent on doing everything it can to take your health from you. Everything that's good ain't good for you. So it's good to get some real knowledge about how to eat to live. And then Thursday nights, That's where all you guys are, you know. Angie's on the first Thursday of the month. Then it's you and me on the second Thursday, and you be telling people how to, you know, manage their relationships. Congratulations on getting married just a couple weeks ago. And then the third Thursday of the month, we got Brother Jay, Jamel, who couldn't be here with us this evening, unfortunately. Reverend Jamel does a show called The Sacred Masculine. It's a show for spiritual brothers and the women who love them. And the title really says something, but I don't think people can really grasp the implications of that. When we think of spirituality, with the exception of the big names we see on TV or we know, you know, Michael Beckwith or T.D. Jakes or, you know, someone like that, we really don't realize that there is a large number of spiritual brothers out there, and they get overlooked. You know, because when you turn the news on tonight at 10 o'clock, you ain't going to see that spiritual brother on there. He's not the one you're going to see. When you go downtown, even if you see the spiritual brother, you don't know he's a spiritual brother. You know, and then when you have a conversation with the spiritual brother, certain things start to come out, but you're still not sure. And sometimes you don't know how to ask the right questions. You don't know how to get in there to find out where his head is. You can't just walk and say, yeah, that's a spiritual brother there, that's a spiritual brother. It don't work like that. You really, really got to find out what's going on below the layers. And then understand. And I got to emphasize, understand. Spirituality runs deep, and not every spiritual brother is at the same level. So just because, you know, this guy seems spiritual, and then you get to a point where you like, yeah, we got in a relationship, and he ain't all that spiritual. No, he is. He is just to the level that he's advanced to. You can't then judge him because you found that there's still some, you know, yo in him. You know, you don't get spiritual overnight. But in this country, we typically don't think of the men when we think of spirituality. And we know that. When we go to almost any church in America, there are more women in there than there are men. Yeah. You know, and then to go back to what I just said, when you find a spiritual brother and you find out that, you know, his waters don't run as deep as you expect them to, you got to also think about it. Do yours necessarily run that deep? So you got to find what works for you. And then oftentimes when you find that brother who does go that deep, that can be scary, especially if you're not on that level. And so what do? You pack up and you run. Because that can't be right. I ain't never met nobody like that before, so that certainly can't be right. I'm out of here before the other shoe come down. So for him to do a show for spiritual brothers, you know, this is about men, and in particular black men, but not exclusively, but in particular black men. And yes, there are black men who are very spiritual. And so he's doing a show and he's talking to these brothers and he's helping them to develop their spirituality. He's encouraging them to keep pushing towards spirituality. Because I'm going to tell you, as a brother who's been on that path off and on his whole life, it's not an easy path to walk. It's not. Because sometimes a lot of things that you do just doesn't mix with popular people. And so when you're in mixed company, you know, there's things that they talk about or there's things that they do that you may not necessarily do. And I'm going to digress just for a second, Arlene. I remember once I was hanging with some friends, and we were up in Pennsylvania, and everybody was having some drinks. And they were like, you're not going to have anything to drink? I said, I get high off of life. I don't need anything to drink. Y'all don't want to see me drunk. It's going to be terrible. You know, but not everybody can do that, and you got to build up to that. So to have a show that lets you know that you're not the only one, that you're not out here alone, and to encourage the strong woman behind you to stay strong and support you. And I'm going to just put this out here. A lot of brothers today that I know, and I had to put that in there because I don't want to throw a blanket out. But a lot of brothers that I know don't necessarily feel supported by the woman they're in a relationship with. So to have a show that helps sisters understand how to love a spiritual brother is huge. And then on the fourth Thursday of the night, Well, it is fourth Thursday of the month. It is me and the inner consciousness, and that's where we go into some metaphysical stuff. Just this month, it's actually been a week ago. This time we did something different. Now, for me, this year is all about ending the war on love. And each time I talk about it, I go deeper and deeper and deeper into it. And so when I come back to the war on love next month, I'm going to talk about how the war on love has affected the church. We're going to talk about temple mentality versus what Jesus actually taught. And you'd be surprised to realize that what Jesus taught is very different than what we learn in a lot of our churches in the world today. But you can point the finger at the war on love. It ain't nothing new. It's as old as time. And so in the inner consciousness, we go deep into learning how to build your spirituality. It's a one-on-one. I might be there as your facilitator, but it's you meeting your inner consciousness one-on-one. And last week when we did it, we put a message out to the brothers because we know, brothers, it can look very dim out there, but I had a panel and we talked about the problems facing young black men in America, and it was called A Spiritual Solution to the Problems Facing Young Black Men, because Dr. Wayne Dyer said that there's a spiritual solution to everything, and he's one of my heroes, and I believe Wayne Dyer. I'm always listening to Wayne Dyer in the car, and I believe that there is a spiritual solution to everything. And so for us to see what we see in our community every day, there has to be a spiritual solution to it. There has to be, because God don't make mistakes. Everything is happening for a reason. So for every action, there's a reaction. If this is the action that we're seeing, what's the spiritual reaction to create a change? And that's what we discussed last week. And then on Fridays, Voni talked about Friday. What can you say? If you haven't listened to Let's Talk Love, Sex, and Nutrition, wow. Wow. Okay. That's all I can say is wow. That show is raw. You think Eddie Murphy was raw in the 80s? No, that show is raw, straight raw. The two of those ladies, Voni and Zakia, they go there, they come back just for a break to get some water, and then they go back in again, and they hit it hard. It is absolutely crazy. That show is bananas. And you heard, just say, the energy that she brung when she came on the line with you. She has that energy all the time. And brothers, if you were listening, you heard that sexy voice, right? So that's it. Friday nights, Let's Talk Love, Sex, and Nutrition. It is off the hook. It is crazy. It is not just a show for women. It's for men and women. And then Sundays. Right now, Saturday is open, but it won't be for long. But Sundays. Sunday, we've got Stacy in there. And Stacy is, y'all heard it. This is not your average radio show. This is not your average blog talk radio show. Stacy is hitting America. She is hitting the world. She's hitting it hard, and she's bringing real solutions to real problems. She is out there. She's coming up with some beautiful things. Every week it's like a different idea. She has some wonderful resources. I actually had her on a show that I did just earlier this month. And she had brung some really great information. So, hey, what can I say? I am so proud and so happy to be a part of the Family Healing Circle because, this station is off the hook. It's doing big things, and it's only going to get bigger and better.
Okay. And if there's any month that does have a fifth Thursday, then you have my show, which is Healing Paradigms. And my main goal really is to help bring to the table for many people a differing perspective on how they may be viewing things. Because I'm really of this opinion that, when we as human beings a lot of times get caught up into a particular idea or a particular paradigm about how things are supposed to be. And I'm really of that mindset that you really should question almost everything that you have been taught, especially if you have been in that particular mindset of going ahead and accepting what it is that you've been told. So what I do is I bring in a differing perspective, whether or not it's about spirituality, whether or not it's about food, and also I am also interested in people healing mentally, physically, and spiritually. And one of the things that I have found, in addition to, the work that I do with people in terms of energy healing and things of that nature, is that they get caught up into a particular mindset that it prevents them from doing the type of healing that they need to do. So that is what my goal is when I have any of my shows come on, or even when I work with people in private practice. Now, we still have a few of our the people that we've talked to earlier.
But before we go there, why don't you talk about one love, one connection, one us. That's right.
Oh. Okay. Okay. Well, one love, one connection, one us. Like Reverend Harvey Reverend Harvey said a little bit earlier, we actually started out doing workshops and things of that nature, and then we were invited by Zakia to actually do the radio show. And one of the reasons I realize now, even more so than I did initially when I approached Reverend Harvey about starting the business, was that the reason that I wanted to do it is because I always had an interest in relationships and interest in how can we, as human beings, get along better. What we're finding now is that the rate of divorce is at 50%, and
slightly better, but they still say 50%.
It's 50%. And back in the 80s, there were more people who were married and more people who were getting married, but the rate was still at that same time. And now you're finding that less people are getting married, but the rate is still at 50%. Mm-hmm. So I guess my main thought about it is that there needs to be more love in the world. And that perhaps what's happening is that people are not relating to each other as well as they possibly could. So that what we do on One Love, One Connection, One Us is we talk about the different ways that people can have, men and women can have a better understanding of each other. And here's something that people should understand is that even the tools and strategies that we talk about on the show are tools and strategies that they can use in other relationships that they have with other people around them. And I think that our primary goal is to get people to a place where they can be more loving towards each other, more respectful of one another, and more open-minded, and having a different viewpoint on where the other person is coming from, that allowing that other person that they're in a relationship to have the space to be who it is that they are within their relationship, so that things can continue to get better and better. And one of the things that I have found, and you can chime in, Reverend Harvey, if you like, but one of the things that I have found is that in order to have a successful relationship is to actually make a study of it. In almost every tradition, if you really want for things to improve, you've got to make a bit of a study of it. And there's plenty of information out there, or too many tools and strategies and things of that nature out there to help people have better relationships. And once you go ahead and actually put them into practice, go ahead and see how things, change for you if they do change. Because I guess my thinking is that you don't really have to take my word for it. You go ahead and you test it for yourself. But Reverend Harvey,
and I agree with that. I wouldn't say study, because I hate to give people the wrong idea, because people hate to do studies. But you've heard me say for months now, and I've been telling people, and you've heard it a lot, that marriage licenses should come with an expiration. Because when you get married and they say till death do you part, but you're not going to be the same person in 5 years that you are now. So imagine if your marriage license came, and this is just hypothetically, it doesn't have to necessarily be this, but just to give you an idea, if your marriage license came with 3 years expiration, and in that 3 years you have to get continuing education credits. And this is why I wouldn't say a study, but being educated. Because I think that education is really important. Think about it. On most jobs and almost all professional jobs, you have to have continuing education credits to maintain your certification. Basically, you have to prove that you still know how to do it. When it comes to a relationship, we don't do that. And we change and our partners change. And you'd be surprised how many times people don't notice that their partner has changed. Why? Because they've been so wrapped up in their own life. So if you have to get 45 continuing education credits over a 3-year period, and you can't attend the class without your partner, a couple things is happening there. One, you're being forced to go to school with your partner. Two, the school is all about how to maintain your relationship. It's on better communication skills. It may be on better lovemaking skills. You choose the classes that you want. You just have to get the continuing education, the credits. But you choose what it is you need, how to handle your family's finances, how to be better parents to your kids, how to be best friends with your partner, how to love yourself more, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. But think about that. What would that do to the marriage rate? And Arlene mentioned that in 1988, the marriage rate has been 50%. Well, they've been calling it 50% since 1988. 1988. There's probably someone listening who wasn't even born in 1988. So that's how long it's been. But Tavis Smiley, and I'm going to quote Tavis Smiley said this: black people don't want to get married and white people can't stay married. That's what we're looking at in America. So like Arlene said, we have fewer people. So imagine, and this number is not an accurate number, but imagine if 10,000 people every year was getting married in 1988, 88 until the shift happened. And imagine now if 2,000 people are getting married every year. So if we go back to 88, 10,000 people were getting married every year and 5,000 were staying married. You come up to currently 2,000 people are getting married and 1,000 are staying married. Do you see a problem there? I certainly do. And so what we do with One Love, One Connection, One Us is we try to give you practical tools. Like Arlene said, don't take our word for it. Use the tools that we give you, because we want to bring back more love. What the world needs now is love. But I also wanted to say this because Arlene mentioned earlier that we give tools to help men and women understand each other better. We don't we don't leave out the LGTB community. We give these same tools, and they help same-sex relationships stay together as well.
Yes, but. Of the shows that we, so I'm going to pose a question to you that I posed to Voni and Dr. Cook. What has been your favorite show so far from One Love, One Connection, One Us?
Wow. From One Love, One Connection, One Us. Wow. It's been so many. It's hard. It's really hard to choose a show because we've had some really good shows over the years. So I can't even pick one. I like the one that we did this month. because of the nature of it. I'm not going to say it was my favorite one, but because of the nature of it, in that show. And I want to say that, so that people understand, Arlene and I take turns on producing the shows. And not that it was because that was a show that I produced, but it was where we were going with the show. So March's One Love, One Connection, One Us show was how to love again after being hurt. And the hurt that we were talking about was domestic violence, rape, and molestation. And it can be hard after someone has hurt you that way, after someone has violated your trust in that manner, to get into another relationship and to get into it in a successful manner. You may be able to get into a relationship, but can you be all in? Can you be fully in that relationship? Can you move beyond the hurt? And so we had some very brave people come on, and they talked about their experiences, and we've had it from, where they're dealing with it to where one woman even shed a few tears while she was on, as it took her right back to it, to another woman who was, it happened, I moved on, and I'm okay. And through that, we had Reverend Jamel on there, who's a licensed social worker, and he spent a lot of years, much of his career as a social worker, dealing with just those type situations. So he was on there to talk to the women. I really appreciated him being able to be that sounding board, being able to talk to the women. And then at the end of the show, we had Stacy Ferguson come on, and she actually was able to give resources, some that were free, some that were low cost, some that may cost a little bit more, but she gave resources to where the people who had been hurt, who were listening, could go. So she gave actual phone numbers that they could call, web addresses that they could go to. And it's my favorite part of the whole show, was the fact that we brought light to something that's only this year really starting to peek its head through the clouds. And it's that domestic violence, rape, and molestation happen to males too. And so when we threw the figures out there, when we came out, and Stacy came out with the same figures later on, but I came out with the figures early on, that when you're talking about, if we talk rape, we're talking 1 in 4 American women. That's 20% of women in America fall victim to rape. 1 in 7 males. 1 in 6 males. So it's not that big of a difference. But we haven't really heard about this from the male perspective. But it's that big, 1 in 6. Domestic violence, 1 in 5. So we're talking 20% of women end up in a domestic violent relationship where their partner is putting their hands on them, whether same-sex or opposite-sex partner. But we also found out that 1 in 7 men are going through the same thing, whether it's opposite sex or same sex. And for men, you don't think about it because a man don't really want to go tell nobody, my wife kicking my butt. 1 in 7 people. So not that was my favorite show, but that's one that stands out as a really good show in my mind because of what we brung, what we did there, the collaborative effort. Unfortunately, Arlene, you were not able to be in that show because that was the day of your nuptials. But that was a powerful show. It was really good. Again, the collaborative effort of other members of the Family Healing Circle coming on, the ladies who were willing to tell their story. Actually, one of the ladies is a member of the Family Healing Circle. She was willing to share her story. So that was really, because that's what we're all about. We really are reaching out to help people. It's all about what can we do to make this world better.
Okay. Now, for your own show, what has been your favorite, if any?
In the inner consciousness.
The inner consciousness. Mm-hmm.
I'm going to say my favorite show, it was actually not one of the more rah-rah kind of shows. It was really a laid-back show, and it was one of the first ones I did, and it was just a guided meditation on visualizing. It was one of the first shows that I did, and I actually think it was before we went to the new format, but it was just a visualization exercise. I walked people, not visualization, a visioning exercise, but I walked people through how to do visioning. And if you're not familiar with visioning, the beauty of visioning is, well, let me say this. There's a difference between visualization and visioning. Visualization is you holding in your mind's eye what you want. Visioning is asking God what God wants for you in any given situation and being still and just listening. And so that would be my favorite one, walking people through the visioning exercise and the inner consciousness.
Okay. Well, we still have, I think it's Pastor Cook and also Stacey Lamar still on the line. Are there any questions that you guys have for us or or for each other that you would like to ask?
Don't be shy, lady. Don't be shy.
This is Stacey Lamar. I'm on. Can you guys hear me?
Yes, we can.
Can you hear me? Okay, good. Yeah, I'm in line. Forgive me for that. But no, actually, this whole show has been really educational because I've learned so much about what everyone has to offer, and that's something I really didn't even know. So you guys have answered a lot of questions, and it's going to help me kind of filter those friends and family members that should listen to some of these shows. So I think it's been really, really educational. So at this time, I don't have any questions, but I know how to reach you all. You've made it very clear.
Okay. Yeah. All right. Well, is there, I guess we can. We don't have to actually stay on until 9:00. But is there anything that you want to share, Reverend Harvey, before we get off the line?
I just want to say to all of the hosts on the Family Healing Circle, I am so glad that each and every one of you found your way home, and that your home was right here with this particular family, because we value each and every one of you. Hopefully this year when we do our annual get-together, for those of you who weren't with us last year and didn't get a chance to be there, I hope that you're able to make it, and I hope that we all get to meet each other and party with each other as we did last year. That's all I've got.
Okay. So, I want to give a special thanks to all of the families that were able to make it, and and even those who weren't able to, you were in our thoughts and in our prayers, most definitely. Now, I am going to close out with this. If you find yourself in a place where Source is calling you, just answer the call and see what comes through. As you feel the answer well deep inside, get ready to feel the flow of a joyous ride. When you begin to feel the flow of what is calling you, just do your thing and let no one else detract you from what you do. So I'm going to do my thing, and you do your thing, and I will see you soon. Love, peace, and blessings, everyone.
Good night.
Good night.
Good night.
Good night.